Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the HEC webinar, Preparing for the Winter Ahead. Before I hand you over to tonight's chair, Emlyn, just a few housekeeping rules. This webinar is recorded. Hang on, just letting a few extra people in. This webinar is recorded, so if you can't be with us this evening, you'll be able to catch up online after the event. There is a Q&A session once all of the speakers have given their presentations, and you'll be able to answer your questions in English and Welsh, and we'll do our best to answer those for you. Without further ado and delay, I will hand you over to tonight's chair, Emlyn, and welcome to all of our speakers.
Thank you very much, Anne. Croeso I chi gyd I webinar Hybci Cymru. Welcome all to HCC's webinar on preparing the winter ahead. We've got 3 keynote speakers. We'll be, talking about the industry, what's affecting the industry, the challenges with the weather and the stock on the land in the weather. And it's been very, it's a bit ironic that it's one of the sunniest and warmest days of the year, and we're talking about challenging weather conditions, but that's the way it is. And then when we get physical challenges on the ground and on the farm, it can affect, monetary challenges then, and a combination of both can have very detrimental effect on the well-being of us farmers. And generally we're not the best at discussing these with our friends and industry colleagues, but with the 3 speakers tonight, I think we'll go through each and every one and see how they are linked and the support networks that are out there to help in all these in the fields. So you're not here to listen to me. Our first speaker is James Ruggeri. He's with HCC now for 8-9 years, and he's an industry development executive. He's a farmer, so he knows what sheep like to do and the challenges associated with keeping stock. So, without any further ado, you can kick it off, James, please, and we'll take it from there. Croeso.
Thank you very much, Emlyn. My first challenge is to make the computer side of things work, and we'll see how that goes. If you could let me know if my screen is now showing.
Looking good.
Oh, looking good. Right. Okie doke. Grand. Well, I just want to start by thanking everybody for coming this evening, and thank you for the invite to speak to you. As Emlyn said, I do live on a farm, and I've been brought up on a farm, and I do understand how challenging the industry is, and the volatility that we go through day to day, and how weather in effect has a big part on that. And here we're a relatively wet farm here, so the last winter was really challenging, but we've come through it now, and when Anne then asked me to speak about it, I thought, oh God, I don't know if I want to relive it all. But anyway, I will try and take you through some of the considerations that we have here, and just to try and really take you through the thought process that I guess that we're going through here on the farm this time of year in preparation, and I guess try and signpost you to where we feel that you can get the most help from. So yeah, I'll start by saying that I think with any industry at all, when you're running a business, the most important thing to always get your head around is cost of production. Now, we know, and I'm not going to dwell on this on this too long, but I do want to, as I said, make the point. We know that the industry really basically struggles to make money, and that's in effect what we should be trying to do. So I think it's always the first protocol is always to try and get an idea around costs. Okay, so any decisions going forward should be based on profitability, really. So I've just quickly put these up. Lamb production costs. We know that on the average farmer, if you like, in Wales, without subsidy, struggles to make money from lamb production. You can see it there. It's actually showing a 22 pence a kilo loss. Okay. Then the positive within this slide always is that the top third farmers, who are obviously in that same industry, same marketplace, they are making money. So that's basically the inspiration I want to give you is from a lamb production point of view, there is the ability to be able to make money because the top third farmers are giving us that. So I think, as I said, my advice there would be take inspiration, I guess, from them. Very similar story with suckler cows. You've basically got, again, the average suckler cow in Wales is generally losing a small amount of money, but the top third, again, making reasonable money. So again, everything that we do, we've got to be good at. We can't just be average. We've got to be better than average if we want to be profitable. So I said I wouldn't dwell too much on those. There is, in terms of your cost of production, if you want assistance with that, or you want to know a bit more about the industry and prices and things that are going on, there's a huge array of things out there. Certainly not just through us. Some of the things you can see on the screen now are publications that we do, and Gleslie and our market intelligence team is brilliant for all the statistical information you could ever want. And if you need that, please get in touch. But yeah, just to let you know, there's a lot of information out there to help you look at costs and look at the marketplace, really. And there's just a few more examples there. So just to basically cover off, I've said it's really difficult in the industry to make money. A lot of us now will be thinking about starting to think about selling our new crop of lambs, I guess. So what I would like to say is that I think that the first protocol is understanding your market. And at the beginning of this year, we've had really good prices, which I believe will probably encourage people to sell sooner. But what I want to make sure is that the people understand that the market that you're selling into, and when you're selecting those lambs, making sure that you are selecting them to get the most money out of them for that marketplace. Now, in terms of where we are with that, you can see on the graph here, and it's always a bit of a difficult one because I appreciate that people are selling into different markets. However, in general terms, what we're looking for is a 2 grade lamb, E to R. A 2 or a 3L fat class, E to R, and it's round about, well, you can see there 58%, round about two thirds of the lambs we produce are hitting spec, but there is that whole third that isn't hitting spec. And the bugbear for me there is the lambs that are too fat. Are we putting too much energy in these lambs? So after a wet winter, a lot of us struggle for grass. We're going to be probably looking for supplementary feed to try and fatten lambs this time. But make sure, all I would say is make sure that you know what you're trying to do with those lambs. Don't over fatten them. Don't put too much weight into them. Similarly, they don't want to be underfinished because you'll get penalized for that. But there is opportunities out there for you to, for instance, I myself run livestock selection courses where we take farmers into abattoirs so that you can get a really good handle on what a finished lamb should be, really. So that would be my first sort of protocol is know your market. The second thing then, and this is, I guess, very much linked to the first element of it, is body condition scoring. So at this time of year, we're sort of, we'll be thinking about weaning the lambs probably in a few weeks. And at that point, our focus really then turns to making sure that our ewes are going to get into the right condition for tupping. And as you can see there from the slide, how important it can be. So if you don't get them in the right condition, fertility will be severely affected. And you can see there, it's a study has suggested it's up to 20% knock on fertility if you get your ewes too lean. Similarly with your cattle, if your cattle are either too fat or not fat enough, they will not be performing. So making sure that your animals are in the right condition, I would say, is really important. Now, what I think is important as well is to understand that it can take up to 8 weeks just to get a condition score on a ewe. So if you haven't got them right now, and it'd be something similar in cattle, if you haven't got them right now, you really do need to be getting on with it, because when you go into a winter, and certainly a winter like we had last year, when you're trying to chase condition through the winter, it's a really expensive time to do it, because generally we haven't got all that lush fresh grass out there to do it, and which is usually your cheapest form of feed. You're probably going to have to do it with concentrates. You're probably going to have to house animals and things like that. So now really is the time to be thinking about making sure that you get your livestock in the best possible condition leading into winter. And that goes for any winter. I mean, it doesn't have to be before a hard winter. Any winter coming forward, now is the time to make sure that you get your animals in the right condition. By assessing that, by body condition scoring it, it'll give you a really good guide as to where you are now and what you need to do. But like with everything, you've got to measure these things to be able to do something about it, really. So that's just a little bit on livestock. I was also asked to have a look at sort of grassland and what we would be considering now. So after a really wet winter, and the possibility of that continuing, I think it's really important to assess your land, go around, see where these the particularly wet spots are, and where possible, and I know it's not going to be possible for everybody, but I'm just saying where possible, can you avoid taking heavy machinery over these wet areas? Can you avoid making ruts in field, making compaction? By thinking ahead and trying to consider these things, and it seems really simple and really basic, but just by actually going through that thought process, you can probably do a lot to save your land from damage that you don't need to do. Similarly, use the correct machines to do what you want. I've seen lots of people saying, "Oh, I got stuck this time. I got there." Well, were you using, the right machine? Was that the right tractor to be taken down there? Did you need, different tires? All these kind of considerations. Hopefully, if you start out by thinking about them, will kind of avoid you making sort of damage with the machinery that you're using. The other thing, I guess, is fairly topical with everything that's going on in terms of the NVZ regulations and things. But from my point of view, I look at slurry and manure as very much as a very valuable nutrient on farm. When land is really wet, you've got a really sort of increased risk of leaching and losing those nutrients. So not just from a regulations point of view, I'd be looking at that and thinking, really making sure that you plan to get those nutrients down so that you don't lose them, you don't waste them. Because if you've got to replace them with expensive fertilizers, it can't be good for your business. So I mentioned a little bit of soil compaction there before. A lot of that will come down to the sort of machinery that you're using on your farm, and sometimes it's unavoidable, and I totally understand that. It depends what your contractors have got, but I would say there are machines out there that can help with compaction. Consider subsoiling, consider mechanical aerators, things like this, if you feel that compaction is an issue. And then the last one there, grazing. Wherever possible, use controlled or rotational grazing methods. We certainly found last year, within the winter, when it was really wet, what we did here was we tried to basically have sacrifice fields, if you like, so that instead of sort of allowing the sheep to kind of basically ruin all the land, try and put them on smaller, drier areas to try and get you through that wet period, so that, because you can make quite a lasting damage in terms of what you do to the soil. and it'll take so much longer for your grass to come back. So if you can minimize that by sort of tightening them up, rotationally grazing, things like that, it's definitely worth considering. Yeah, so the last point that I thought, because I've only got a relatively short time to talk to you this evening, I thought the last point that I would consider, and it's something that's sort of anecdotally going around, but we are expecting straw to be quite expensive this winter. I think that everybody be aware, because of the wet weather, there's been a lot of failed crops around. So it is likely to lead on to being less straw around, and therefore a price increase. Now, obviously, where possible, if you've got an alternative, things like sawdust, things like that, and they're within your area and they're accessible, it's definitely worth you looking into that. But again, look into that now, because I imagine come the winter, when people start to think about prices of straw, then everybody will be going to look for those alternatives. So see if you can lock into something now, if possible. I appreciate that's not going to be for everybody, but it's worth a look. And then just to consider, if and to be honest, it shouldn't really matter how expensive the straw is. We should always be considering these things, really. But how can you reduce the amount of bedding that you're going to want this winter? So things like, and again, really, really basic, but looking at your sheds, have you got good ventilation? Have you got sort of areas where that can be scraped out to save sort of the whole bed becoming damp? Fixed gutters and downpipes. Now, generally, once you've got your harvesting and shearing done and things like that, there tends to be a little bit more time maybe for maintenance and things like that. Now is probably the time to make sure that you're getting your sheds right again. You don't want water leaking into your sheds, making all your straw wet if you can avoid it. Then you've got things like sort of clever design in terms of water trough placement, making sure that just to get to water troughs, that again, they're not ruining the whole bed to get to it. Same with your feed areas. You've also got, then consider the feed that you're feeding them. Is there a way or is there a feed option that's going to put less moisture through them? You tend to find if the cows and sheep are eating a lot of moisture and it goes through them, in effect, you're going to end up with a lot wetter bed. So is there an opportunity there to feed them something slightly different that will actually mean that you're going to lose less straw? A neighbour of mine bought a new straw chopper this year, and it's kind of halved his straw usage, which seems unbelievable. But just by having a chopper, by chopping it up, he uses that much less. It fluffs it up a lot more, so it's much more absorbent. If it's not for everybody, but if there's an opportunity to look at using a straw chopper, it's definitely worth consideration. Making sure your bedding is stored correctly. I see these straw bales, stacked in huge stacks outside getting wet, and I think, God, that's not going to make good bedding. Is it possible again to do things to keep it drier before you're even thinking about putting it down? And then, as I said, we mentioned alternatives there at the beginning. I sort of want to give a plug here as well for the services that are out there, and I've really, really benefited here from using the mentoring program through Farming Connect. So I wanted to give a bit of a plug for that, because if anybody is sort of in need of a little bit of advice, I've become really friendly with my mentor through it. So I've not just had advice about technical things on the farm, but just somebody to go and talk to when things are difficult. It can be horrible when you're looking outside, it's pouring with rain, your sheep are traipsing through mud to feed them and things like that. Just having somebody, a mentor there who you can, pick up the phone, going through the same sort of things. It's fully funded, so it's definitely worth looking at. And then some of the things that I've talked to you today about in terms of grazing, housing, there's, through their advisory service, there is so many, really, really good experts out there that you can get pretty much fully funded advice from. We've really, really benefited through, sort of grassland advice here especially, and also veterinary advice. So I would definitely give a plug for that, and just remember, you're not alone in these things. And I guess my kind of closing thought would be is that everything that I've mentioned tonight would seem really, really basic. And it is, but sometimes we forget to just do the basics. We don't have to worry about always, looking for something new to do. Just do things well, do the simple things well. And I think you'll get through most challenges, really. So I think that's me. I'm not sure if I stuck to time. I've tried my best, but yeah, hopefully I will I'll be around to answer. I'll try and stop sharing now. Be around to answer some questions at the end, and also just to say that at Hubby Key Cymru, I'm always available if anybody ever wants to pick up the phone and ask anything. Then yeah, I'm always here anyway. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. And as always, an honest and practical view of the problems and solutions to the problems that we're facing on a daily basis in the industry. And James, he's very often to be seen about in shows, markets, and very approachable. So anytime you see him, go up to him, introduce yourself, and he'll always have a smile, and he'll talk with you. What else was I there? Yeah, from there and I've also benefited from the selection days that James runs with the slaughterhouses. They're fantastic, and if you ever get a chance, put your name on it. You'll never regret. It's a very practical day. You see them being selected, and then you can see them in the carcasses after the end, and you get the chance. Then you grade them alive, and you grade them on the hook as well. So it's a very good course to go on. Dear James. Now we'll go on to our second speaker for the evening, which is William Howell from LHP Accountants, born and raised on a farm near Carmarthen. His upbringing instilled in him a deep connection of rural life and the agricultural sector. His accountancy journey began in 2018. He's been with LHP Accountants since 2021 and has a reputation as a trusted partner with the agricultural sector. This gives William a platform to specialise in the agricultural sector. So he can say more about himself and the challenges and hopefully some solutions that we face as an industry. Yeah, William. Ti ar mute. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry, diolch Emlyn. Diolch am y croeso, Emlyn. Thank you for the welcome, Emlyn, and thank you, Anne, as well, for the invitation to come and speak with you tonight. I'll just share my screen here. Can everyone see the presentation, yeah?
Yep, looking good.
Yeah. Right, okay. So, yeah, so today I'll be here speaking with you about the practical ways to manage your farm's finances. So we'll cover essential strategies like budgeting, cash flow management, seeking expert advice when needed, and utilising cloud accounting software. So by implementing these, they will help to gain a clear understanding of your farm's financial health. And they will empower you to make more informed decisions and navigate challenges with greater confidence. So budgeting. So imagine a farm without a plan. You plant crops and raise livestock, but you're not sure where the money is going to come from or where it's going to go. Budgeting is the answer. It's like the sat-nav for your farm's finances, guiding you towards financial stability and growth. So budgeting can create a financial roadmap for your farm's finances, and it lays out your expected income and expenses over a specific period. It enables you to anticipate your cash flow, anticipate potential shortfalls, plan for seasonal fluctuations, which are common in the agricultural sector, and make informed decisions throughout the year. Budgeting can also help you to identify any areas for cost savings. So the budget can be as detailed or as detailed as you desire, but budgeting can act as a magnifying glass, forcing you to examine all of your expenses, and you'll be able to identify areas where you can potentially cut back or negotiate better deals or explore cost-effective alternatives for certain practices. So budgeting can also allow you to allocate resources effectively, prioritizing spending on essential inputs like your feed, your seeds, and your fertilizers, or investments that align with your ultimate goals. And this could involve deciding whether to invest in new equipment and machinery, expanding your productions, or diversifying. And your budget can also act as a benchmark to track your progress throughout the year. So comparing your actual income and expenses to your budgeted figures helps you to assess your farm's financial performance. So this will allow you to adjust your budget as needed and identify any areas where you might be exceeding or falling short of your expectations. So in essence, budgeting acts as your farm's financial compass. So it can help you guide your decisions, identify any opportunities, and ensure that you're on track for a profitable future, hopefully. So cash flow management. So I like to think your farm's finances can be like a flowing river. Cash flow management is the art of keeping that river flowing smoothly, ensuring there's always enough water or cash to meet your needs. So cash flow allows you to track the physical movement of all your incoming and outgoing cash. This includes crop, livestock, and milk sales and subsidies on the incoming side, and expenses like feed, seeds, and fertilizers, and loan repayments on the outflow side. So it's beneficial to have a budget in place when managing your cash flow, as your cash flow can be compared against your budget, giving you a real-time picture to identify potential shortfalls before they become an issue or a problem. So a cash flow helps you to identify any potential shortfalls, a period when your expenses might be exceeding your income. So by anticipating these dry spells, you can take proactive measures like delaying any non-essential purchases, such as investment in plant machinery for other later periods. So this will help ensure that you have enough cash on hand to meet your obligations. So farmers understand the importance of planning for every season ahead, and cash flow management operates in a similar principle. So by recognizing your upcoming expenses, such as equipment repairs or loan repayments, you can plan ahead and ensure that you've got enough cash available when needed. So this proactive approach prevents scrambling for funds at the last minute. A healthy river needs sufficient water to flow freely. So similarly, a farm or any business needs adequate liquidity or readily available cash to function smoothly. Cash flow management helps you to maintain liquidity by ensuring there's always enough cash on hand to cover essential expenses. This prevents situations where you might have to resort to expensive short-term borrowings to cover your basic needs. And by mastering the flow of your farm's finances, it keeps your operations running smoothly. It equips you with to anticipate any challenges, to plan strategically, and ensure your farm's financial future remains bright. Seeking expert advice. Running a successful farm requires expertise in many areas, just like cultivating a diverse crop. While as farmers wear many hats, seeking guidance from qualified professionals can empower you to make decisions and obtain a second opinion. So agricultural consultants possess specialized knowledge tailored to the agricultural industry. They can offer you with insights on everything from crop production techniques to livestock management practices. So they are the experts who can help you optimize your operations, improve your yields, and the overall efficiency of your farm. So accountants, financial matters, of course, are a key essential part to any business. So accountants can help ensure that you're on the right track. We can help with tasks like your bookkeeping, your tax preparation, and financial analysis. And we can also advise you on maximising your tax deductions from your capital allowances, minimising your tax liabilities, and making informed decisions for your farm's future growth. Maintaining a good relationship with your bank manager will help to ensure that they have a good understanding of your farm and your operations. So they can provide you with guidance and support in the form of long-term financial planning for your farm, as well as they can source potentially suitable loans or borrowings for a variety of purposes which you might require. These could be to fund land purchases or investing in new plant and machinery. So by seeking the advice of some of these experts, they can act as a valuable partner in your farm's journey. They can offer the specialised knowledge and guidance to navigate the financial landscape and help achieve your goals. Cloud accounting software. So cloud accounting offers a central hub for all of your farm's financial data, accessible anywhere, anytime. So it can help, gone are the days of having to keep all your paper receipts and bulky ledgers. Cloud accounting software can help automate your record keeping and a lot of the boring bookkeeping tasks. You can easily record your income and expenses, categorize transactions, and generate reports, which can help free up valuable time which you can actually spend on managing your farm and not managing the paperwork. So waiting for the end of the month or the quarter when the VAT is usually prepared to see your farm's financial performance is also a thing of the past. Cloud accounting software provides you with an instant access to real-time financial data. So you can track your income and your expenses, monitor cash flow, and analyze your profitability, all from a phone or a computer. This allows you to make data-driven decisions and identify potential issues early on. Again, coming back to seeking the expert advice, sharing financial information with your accountant or advisor can be a hassle. So cloud accounting software eliminates this hurdle. With real-time access to your farm's financial data, your advisors can provide more efficient and insightful guidance. This fosters better communication, facilitates informed decision making, and just ensure that everyone involved with your farm just has a clear picture of the financial health. And many softwares that are readily available, the cloud accounting softwares out there at the minute, can go beyond the basic record keeping. Many of them offer add-ons or built-in features for the budgeting, your invoicing, and your reporting. So you can create the budgets on there, send invoices to customers, and generate comprehensive financial reports all within a single platform. So utilizing cloud accounting software can really bring together these key tools for helping your farm face its financial situations with live financial data of how everything sits day by day, which can help you budget for your future income and expenses and track the real-time cash flow of your farm. So by implementing these financial strategies, they'll help you to gain a clearer understanding of your farm's financial health. They'll empower you to make more informed decisions and navigate some of the financial challenges with greater confidence. The key one would be cloud accounting software, which can streamline a lot of these processes by providing a centralized hub for all of your farm's information. So remember, budgeting, cash flow management, seeking expert advice when necessary, and utilizing cloud accounting software are all valuable tools. So, but ultimately, I think it's very important to keep your accountant, your bank manager, your agricultural consultants, or whoever it may be who is involved or is partly involved with your business, to keep them informed of whatever's going on, because this will then help with your with your cash needs at all times. So any foreseen issues can be addressed before they become problems well in advance. So that's So I'm hoping if anyone's got any further queries or info they'd like, and don't think of anything today to put in the Q&A, these are my details on the screen now. You can send me an email or give me a call in the office, and hopefully I can answer those for you. Thank you.
Diolch yn fawr, William. Thank you, William, for making accounting seem simple and a joyous process.
Anyway.
But I will reiterate what he said, that it's very important to be well in touch with your accountant, bank manager, and and similar people who do have an effect and can affect positively your business. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch.
Now, we've had the two practical practical challenges and physical challenges. But now we're on to Linda Jones. She is the Farming Community Network Manager for Wales. She's also living on a farm and a member of the senior management team at FCN throughout the 4 nations. She's an accredited trainer who can deliver Farm Community Network's Wellbeing in Agriculture training course. And she's also a qualified mental health first aider. As I mentioned, lives on a beef and sheep farm and very aware of the problems that arise in farming. She's worked in farming charity sector for the last 12 years. And, we are very lucky that we have people from the agricultural industry and willing to help us in the industry, and very approachable. Usually they're approachable 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year, and it's not something most people are willing to share, but it is a very, very vital link that can solve a lot of problems. And being there as an ear to listen makes things a lot better for a lot of people. Felly, Linda, could you give us a presentation, please?
Yeah, diolch Emlyn. Noswaith dda bawb. Good evening all. Thank you to Hybu Keep Cymru for inviting me to speak about well-being tonight. Diolch I Hybu Keep Cymru am fy ngwahodd I siarad am y lles heno. Apologies, I've only got a few slides that are bilingual, purely because it was getting to be too much text on the slides. So I'm just going to share my presentation with you now. Everybody see?
Yes.
Yeah, diolch. Thank you. So we are the Farming Community Network. I'm hoping that most of you will have heard of us because we'll be celebrating our 30th year next year. So just to remind you what we do, we're a voluntary organisation and charity, and we are here for everyone in agriculture. That means farmers, contractors, anybody to do with agriculture. So we support people in agriculture through difficult times and as well preparing for the changes ahead. And I think we've got quite a lot of changes ahead to come in Wales as well. So we operate a confidential helpline, which is open every day of the year from 7 in the morning until 11 at night. We've also got an e-helpline that you can send an email to. Our helpline volunteers are the first point of contact that you get when you call our helpline. If somebody wants to speak Welsh, if there's no Welsh speaker available at the time, what happens is they'll contact a Welsh speaker who will ring you back. So our helpline volunteers are there to listen, support and connect. Sometimes when a call has come through to the helpline, somebody sometimes just wants to offload and they feel better after chatting to somebody for half an hour or an hour. But sometimes the problems are more complicated and complex and they need to be supported by a volunteer. So all the cases that come through to SEN Cymru are treated with complete confidentiality. Across England and Wales every year, we help approximately 6,000 people with their problems, all kinds of problems being personal or business. So our groups are split up into 4 areas in Wales. Regional groups are North Wales, West Wales, Mid Wales and South Wales. All these groups have a volunteer coordinator. All these groups have a chaplain as well. And most of our volunteers are actually farming people who understand farming and know what the problems are and how to help. So what impacts farmers' well-being? I'm sure that you're probably all aware, especially after the autumn, winter and spring we had this year. Weather is a huge one and was massive for this year. Finance, that's another massive problem for us in Wales. We've had several calls in last month to do with the lack of finances. Isolation, farmers work so many hours on their own and might not speak to anybody for days. Unsociable hours as well means perhaps they can't get off farm and join in with any community events. Farm accidents, we're always hearing about farm accidents that happen. Quite a lot of these could be prevented, but a lot of it is to do as well with people working long hours. Family pressures, people falling out within families, lots of problems to do with succession and those kind of things. And of course, animal disease as well, with TB being a massive problem in Wales as well. Unhealthy diet as well. Farming people are busy, so they eat on the go and perhaps don't sit down for a proper meal. So what do we mean when we talk about well-being? Well-being includes psychological, environmental, social, economic, and physical. Essentially, these matters are well-being links that Maslow's hierarchy of needs has come up with. It's just in case if you haven't heard, and why would you, I don't know. Abraham Harold Maslow was an American psychologist who created a theory of psychological health predicated on fulfilling innate human needs in priority, culminating in self-actualization. What does that actually mean? That means that we need to feel secure financially, economically, with a roof over our heads, food on the table, and that we're in a safe and secure environment. We also need to have a sense of belonging and to be able to interact with other people socially and physically. And we need to be well in our physical selves. So Maslow's key teachings are that we are unable to achieve the higher order needs of influence, personal development and growth if we don't have the physical and emotional well-being in place first. Well-being is not merely the absence of disease. At FCN, we believe that farm businesses thrive when their people thrive, and an important part of thriving is to build and maintain resilience. Resilience is a frequently used term, but what does it actually mean? Well, we've been working on our Farm Well platforms. In England, it's known as Farm Well. In Wales, it's Farm Well Wales in English and Farm Well Cymru in Welsh. Both platforms are available in both languages. We've been actually working on a resilience checklist for farming people, and for you to look at this yourself and maybe decide where you need some more support. So there's a green area, obviously, that everything's good, everything's hunky-dory, you're feeling great, I'm okay, you're just about okay, and it's getting on top of me. And if you're in the amber or the red zone, that's when you need to get support or help, perhaps. So in hand or investigate and call somebody. So this is just a brief example of some of the checkpoints that we've come up with. There will be much more. There's a total of 45 points in our checklist. But as I didn't have time to go through them all tonight, I'm just going to mention some of them. So to look after ourselves, we need to try and maintain a good diet, take some form of regular physical exercise. Your mental health is good. You're proactive about your physical health and get checked by your GP. You know how to deal with stress and anxiety. You have a good work-life balance. You have a positive mindset and bounce back from any setbacks that might occur. You have a good relationship with your friends and your family. You feel able to ask for help when you need it, and you feel able to encourage others to do so as well. You don't allow unwanted or negative thoughts to affect you. You have good spiritual health, such as faith, mindfulness, yoga, etc. And I've added yoga to this list because I actually know a group of farmers who do go to yoga every week because it helps with their physical strength. You have an opportunity to take holidays or a day off from a farm now and again because it's good to get away from the business. And you know how to access cancer support services when required. I'll mention a bit more about our rural communities cancer project in a minute. So what constitutes good mental health and mental ill health? You'll see in the column good mental health, positive emotions, positive relationships, positive and meaningful work experiences and places of work, good physical health. And then mental ill health, low mood for long periods of time, negativity, or you have difficulty displaying emotions, difficulty in communicating with family and friends, and you're struggling with your farm work or losing interest in what you're doing on the farm as well. If these aren't addressed at the proper time, these can present themselves as mental ill health if they're not dealt with. There are differences between these. Mental ill health is when these elements start to slide, but are more than just having a bad day. Mental ill health occurs when these things happen over a longer period of time and are ongoing. They don't go away after a few weeks. So we need to look at mental ill health as warning signs that our mental health is deteriorating. And if we don't act, we could well end up with a mental illness. So our 5 a day for mental well-being, these are our tips. Socialize, cultivate friendships off farm. Sometimes it's difficult to get off farm, but it always does you good. As probably farmers go to the Royal Welsh Show every year, realise just getting out and about and meeting people, friends that you perhaps haven't seen for a year, having a chat, catching up, it's good. And if you can join a choir or anything that's happening in your communities where you get a chance to talk and meet people, that's always good as well. But it's trying to make an effort to socialize. Being active, this might be a strange tip for farmers because farming people are so busy and active anyway. But it's a different kind of active to doing something that you don't do on the farm and every day, because exercise releases endorphins, which can make you feel better and can relieve stress. You might like jogging or running or swimming, anything really, playing tennis this time of year, anything really that makes you feel good and can help relieve stress. Learning a new skill as well, research shows, helps to keep mentally well, because if you're learning something new, you're thinking about different matters, different issues that you're learning about. And if it's a skill as well that you can use on your farm, that's always useful. So keep on learning, keep your mind active. Giving to others, this has proved as well to be a good source to release endorphins. When we help other people, it gives us a sense of feeling good about ourselves, that we've contributed to making somebody's day better. So it makes us feel good, but you also help to make somebody else feel good as well. Take notice of the beauty around you. This might seem strange for farming people as well, because we're outside all the time looking at nature, but do we really look at nature? Because we're always in a hurry to move on to another job. So it's about slowing down, even if it's just for 10 minutes a day. Look at the nature around you, listen to the birds, look at the trees, and appreciate the beauty that's around you. Sometimes as farming people, we can take that for granted. I mentioned briefly our project working with Macmillan Cancer Support. We've entered into a partnership just fairly recently, and this is because Macmillan realised that rural people were diagnosing late with cancer, and therefore they wanted to improve statistics of cancer care in rural and farming communities. Therefore, this project is called Rural Communities Cancer Project, Reducing Barriers to Cancer Care in Farming and Rural Communities across the UK. And this actually is a project that will be working in Scotland and Northern Ireland as well. The four cancers that we'll be dealing mostly with, that occur mostly in agriculture, are prostate, breast cancer, skin cancer, and bowel cancer. All these symptoms that you see on the screen, it doesn't mean that you've got cancer, but these are some of the things that people need to be aware of. Changes to your body, new symptoms that don't go away, knowing how your body normally looks and feels can help you notice any early changes that could be caused by cancer. A cancer can cause different symptoms, but common symptoms include a lump or swelling, unexplained pain, unexplained bleeding, unexplained weight loss, changes to your bowel function, a persistent cough, and coughing up blood. Skin changes can include rashes or a mole that is uneven or irregular in shape and has bumpy edges, is more than one colour, changes shape or size, tingles, itches, or bleeds. All these kind of symptoms doesn't mean that you have got cancer, but you should get them checked by a healthcare professional as soon as possible. Always see your GP if you have symptoms that are ongoing, unexplained, or unusual for you. And that goes for everything. We know as farming people that farming people are very bad at going to see their GP. But any of these symptoms need to be checked out just in case it's something more serious than you think it is. So what are the causes and risk factors for cancer? Age, the older you get, there's more risk of developing cancer. Lifestyle factors such as smoking, weight, diet, how active you are, sun exposure. And this one is particularly for farming people as well, is because I didn't realise until I did some studying, and I didn't think about it, that if you're sat in your tractor cab, you've still got UV rays coming through. So I'm not sure how many farming people do use sunscreen when they're sat in their tractor, but it's something to think about. Also, sunbed use, how much alcohol you drink, family history as well, as some cancers are genetic and more common in some families. Viruses are genetic as well. HPV increases risk of cervical cancer. Hepatitis B and C is linked to liver cancer. HIV can increase risks of cancers, including lymphoma and sarcoma. and some inherited genetic conditions. I mentioned UV radiation, spending too much time in the sun, asbestos as well, which farming people might have come into contact with, and air pollution. If you're using sprays on your land and things, you need to be careful as well. So that's just to give you some idea really of the causes and risk factors as well. Some of you might have seen our booklet. We've got 2 booklets. This is the women's version, Women's Health Made Easy, Fit for Farming. These copies are free of charge. And if somebody wants a copy, they can ask me for it. That's no problem at all. And we've also got a men's version, Fit for Farming. Same again, if somebody needs a copy, you're welcome to ask me for a copy. Or if you've got a community that would like a few booklets, that's fine as well. Just to reiterate, our support is our helpline. So we listen, support and connect. We're trying to improve people's health, well-being and resilience by our proactive work as well, which means holding Farm Well Wales events. And we have got one on in Usk this Saturday evening. It's a hog roast free of charge for farming families, and we'll be looking a bit at farming resilience at that event. It's welcome to everybody, families, children as all, because we're aware as well that it's quite difficult these days for a family, say of 2 parents and maybe 2 or 3 children to attend events because it gets expensive. So at this event, people are welcome to bring their children as well. All we need to know really is that you're intending on attending so that we can cater for the correct numbers. Our Farm Well Wales and Farm Well Cymru websites have got a great deal of information on them regarding business support and personal support and all kinds of support sites and connections that you might need. And our community work as well, which is accessed through our helpline or by indirect referral as well. And this is where our volunteers get involved and will visit farms to try and solve people problems and give them guidance to find their own path to a more resilient future as well. I hope that's given you some idea of what resilience is and how to look after yourself for this coming period of months before hopefully we don't have such a bad winter and spring again. And I'm happy to answer any questions. So just to remind you, ni yma I wrando, I gefnogi, I gysylltu. We're here to listen, to support and to connect. Diolch bawb, thank you.
Diolch yn fawr, Linda. Thank you very much, Linda, for that presentation. And, there's a similar theme throughout all 3 presentations. We're posed with challenges, continual challenges, but to face them brave and with help and advice, these challenges can be solved and there are solutions out there. But we'll go on now to the Q&A session. If anybody got any questions to ask any of our 3 presenters or ask the 3. Are you managing this, Anne? Because I'm not very tech.
Yeah, that's fine. Hi all. So James, I think you've already answered one of those questions directly, but there's another one here from Teleri, and that is, when is it best to cull ewes based on under condition if it appears they're not managing within your system without any additional feed? And Teleri also wants to know when the next HEC livestock selection day is.
Yeah, so just to answer that about the next livestock selection day, Teleri, if you kindly drop me an email with your contact details and let me know which of the 3 main abattoirs you're the closest to. Then I will get in touch with you and see when we can arrange something. So hopefully that answers that one for now. And then in terms of the question about underperforming ewes, I mean, the first thing that I would look at is why are they underperforming? Have you sort of underperforming in terms of condition? Is there an underlying problem? If it's generally not down to age and you're making sure that there's enough nutrition there, then I would say that there's an underlying problem somewhere. And as I mentioned earlier, you've got services through Farming Connect that are often fully funded, that I think that they allow diagnostic testing. So I'd be really, really tempted to test to see if there's an underlying problem there. Even if you do decide that you want to sell the sheep now anyway, just because sometimes, you know, if you're going to replace them and it is down to a disease or some sort of vitamin or mineral deficiency, then it's really important that you have that information so that you can manage your flock going forward. In terms of the best time to sell cull ewes based on price, so sort of at the beginning, it's all based around supply and demand generally. So you tend to find cull ewes are more expensive towards the beginning of the year because there's less available. So you'll note there'll be a lot of people at weaning will cull quite heavily then because of sort of udder problems and things like that. So you generally find more come onto the market, so price starts to go back. So historically, the sooner in the year to sell them, the better. But as I said, before I got to that point, I think I'd be wanting to try and find out why they're under condition, really.
Lovely. Thank you for that, James. I hope, Teleri, that answers your questions. But if you've got any more direct questions for James, do drop us an email. I can't see any other questions in the chat or in the Q&A. Emlyn, is there anything else that you've got to add or to say to close the webinar down?
Yeah, thank you, Anne. Well, no, it's just a big thank you to all 3 presenters, really. You know, as I mentioned earlier, there are challenges, and one thing's for certain, there will be more challenges. You know, if we sorted one problem this year, there's another challenge that will be posed to us next year. And, you know, there are solutions there. There are people out there that will help us, you know, being consultants, bank managers, accountants, you know, farm charities. So use them. They're there to help us. Use them. And a lot of them, they can be financially accessed through Farming Connect as well. So, you know, with a little like that, it was really good. And hope you enjoy a nice summer, a nice Indian summer, well into October and November. And, you know, there will be challenges. There will be weather challenges, but face them bravely with help. So, yeah, thank you very much. And all 3 of the presenters have left their email addresses and contacts. So if you fancy asking them another question at any time, you feel free to do so. So thank you all for attending, and have a good evening and nice rest of the week. Diolch yn fawr iawn i chi gyd.